So hi everyone, I'm from Sacred Earth and Storm School and my name is Elizabeth and thank you for joining me. Wonderful to see you and what amazing times we're living in. Isn't it incredible? Yeah, very intense, but oh my word, it's so exciting. It's just how we perceive it. Yeah. So I would like to speak to you about the what I call the eclipse season. It's this period that we have between the two eclipses. We always have two matching eclipses. We have a lunar eclipse and a solar eclipse. And during this month of March, we have the eclipse season. We've just had the full moon and the total lunar eclipse on the 14th. I experienced it. How should I say? I felt quite spaced out, I have to say. But anyway, I'm not sure where I was, but it was, my body and I were having an interesting time. Um, so, and now we're heading towards the next eclipse, which is the matching solar eclipse, which is on the 29th of this month, and it will be in the sign of Aries. And I have a feeling that, that partial solar eclipse is going to bring a lot of clarity. There's also the day after Neptune, the planet Neptune moves into Aries as well, and that is a very big event. So yeah, interesting times coming up, and we have the equinox as well in between the eclipses. But I'd like to speak to you about the eclipses because these eclipses, as we know, eclipses, the nature of an eclipse is that it's permanent change, massive change. And the change will continue for months, if not years. And in ancient times, it's a little bit like, when they say nothing fears time except the Great Pyramid. But yeah, the eclipses were feared because emperors, kings, whoever was in charge or had authority as leaders, they knew that very soon and through a period it would change, because the eclipses were the beginning of something completely new. So it's something that just cannot be stopped. It's a beautiful force. I love eclipses. If I had a dream, I would actually follow the eclipses around the planet and I would be present at each one of them. As you may have experienced, there is incredible amount of change that happens in nature during that time. I've seen fish jumping out of the sea. I mean, it's just so bizarre almost to have the sun not actually shining on our planet or the moon not being there. Totally, completely blocked out. So it's a very exciting thing for me. It's mysterious, it's mystical, and yeah, it's an amazing occurrence. It's big picture stuff. It's nothing to do with individual small stuff. It's big picture, planet, cosmic stuff. So with that, we have a huge amount of impact on our physical bodies, and the body is adjusting, as the earth is adjusting. And so we can really make this a lot easier for the body by just being aware of certain things, especially the nature of the eclipses during this time of March, because, every period between eclipses will be different depending on the other planetary alignments, etc. So the first thing is that, and we never really taught this, is when there's any change that occurs, the way the body responds and the being is to feel depressed. It's a huge shock, and there's a sense of not being safe. And this is ironic when often the change is positive and we want this change. We've created the change consciously. So, for example, when you've decided to have a child, a baby, very often the mother would feel depressed afterwards, or even maybe the father. And you kind of make yourself wrong and go, why? I'm so happy about this. This is what I want. And yet I feel flat or depressed or, yeah. So I'm sure there are many other reasons as well, but this is definitely one reason. And it may be good for you to remember, because we are going yeah, we are now in a life of immense change. This is the Aquarian. Call it change for short. This is just how it's always going to be. We're just going to get better at dealing with it, more used to it, and we're going to start to enjoy it. But just remember that if there's any big change that happens in your life, you will feel depressed. Just expect it. But it doesn't have to last for long, and you can just go, oh, this is okay. You know, it's a bit like the phases that we have to go through when they say a death. If you shortcut the process, it's just a natural way of how the material world functions. So if you're feeling depressed after this lunar eclipse or during this time, just don't make yourself wrong and don't worry about it. Just go, okay, um, I'm noticing this and it's very normal and I can move through this really easily now. So that's the first thing. The second thing is that, you know, there's such a huge amount of change going on, and you cannot plan life literally for tomorrow, actually. You can have an idea, but this old way of controlling things, knowing what's going to happen, when you're going to get income or this, you know, life is just not going to be like this. Uranus, that governs Aquarius, is about sudden unexpected change, and this is not a bad thing. This is how energy actually works. You just live intuitively in the flow, and everything will be fine. It will be great, but you can't control it because you're going to stop it, and you're going to start getting stuck in it. So, you know, it's natural for our body and our old way of being, to worry about tomorrow because we don't have the guarantees anymore, the security, etc. But actually those were in many ways illusion that just appeared to be, you know, sustainable, but they weren't really, as we've experienced. You know, things can change so unexpectedly. So there isn't really that kind of security in the material. The security is really in us and how we are able to deal with it, that we know that we can, and that we are supported, and that we are connected. So just start to embrace and change your mindset to rather be in the question. Be excited about tomorrow. Instead of worrying about it, wonder, oh, I wonder how it's going to show up. I don't have to know. I don't have to work it out. I don't have to work hard and control it. I can just stay open. And you know, this is an active awareness. It's not this thing of, oh, well, I just live in La La Land and hand it all over. It's not that at all. It's an absolute active awareness and connection to the now, where you become inspired, where you live according to your intuition, to synchronicities, and you're taking action. But it's not from worry. It's not from, oh, I must control this and make sure that this will be fine, etc. So it's coming from a very different energy and perspective. And I always say to myself, and the classes that I teach around this, that, you know, be the curious child. Really, it can serve us so well to go into that pure, spontaneous, childlike energy where we're free, you know, and we receive, because this is how we create now. We create through receiving. If you want to be successful in your life, if you want to have a beautiful, amazing, happy, easy life, the thing to focus on is look at where you're not receiving. Because everything is actually infinitely available to us. But we have to remove all the blocks, all the limitations, all the mindsets, all the old programming that we've allowed to stop us from receiving infinite possibility. And what we desire, you know, and those are all locked up in the subconscious and unconscious, but we are deleting so much of that now. And these eclipses are just like, they come in and it's just a mass deletion, which is such good news. You know, these old programs are just being dismantled. And believe me, it is such good news. It really is such good news. But with that, we also have to almost allow the unraveling and the deletion in our bodies, in our subconscious, in our unconscious mind. So live in the question, be open, trust, And with that also comes this, the minds speak a lot about this too, which is gratitude. And we all know, oh, gratitude, blah, blah, blah. No, live it. Bring yourself back to that concept of the frequency of gratitude. Instead of worrying, just cancel or delete that thought and just go, okay, I'm grateful. I'm grateful for being here. I'm grateful that I made it to here. Whatever. And bring in that frequency, because that frequency will make sure that the next moment and tomorrow will be also amazing for you to feel grateful for, because that is the consciousness, the vibration. And you know, as we've always said, or we know, living in a high vibration doesn't mean that, you know, you live in La La Land and it's like a Hollywood movie or a fairy tale. No, that's not high vibration. High vibration is when you are able to raise your frequency, your perception, and you look at life from a much bigger perspective. And once you see that perspective, life becomes amazingly beautiful. You live in a completely different world because your perception has changed. So that is about living in high frequency. So if you want to raise your frequency, change your perception. And you know, this is what I've done since I think I was born, because I just could not bear looking at the small picture. It was so depressing. I didn't want to live. So as a child, I would always look for the biggest perspective that I could have. And I never realized that. When I look back now, I realize this is what I was doing. And for me, that was survival, because the frequency was so low and the frequency was so heavy that the only way I could do was to search for thinking about it differently, looking at it from a much bigger perspective. And that is actually the key to life, as we know. That is about raising our vibration, and that's where we've been taken and we've been given this immense opportunity to do this so much more easily now. So, and next, the second or third thing is, during this time of the eclipses, there may be a lot of inner questioning, where perhaps you feel unmotivated, questioning the purpose of your life, just feeling maybe unfulfilled, or feeling that you have no value. And this is once again really healthy. It's totally to be expected. This is part of the gift of this time. And what I would say is, look at, especially after this lunar eclipse that we've just had, look at where you've had the biggest challenge in this lifetime, your biggest trauma, your biggest, maybe where, you know, you thought you were going somewhere in life and it just completely changed you into a different destiny. It may be the death of a child. It may be some kind of trauma that occurred. But as we know, and as strange as this may sound, this was not by chance. This was not because you got it wrong. This was something that you chose as a being before you came into this lifetime. And there is a great purpose to it. It's immensely productive because it helped you to grow and change, and in a way find your own true destiny. So I remember when I was recently flying to Vietnam and Cambodia, I love watching the movies on the plane, because I live in a very small place and there's no movie house or anything like that. And I was watching The Count of Monte Cristo. And you know, afterwards, some of you may know the story. It's about a young man who was going to get married and live happily ever after. And then destiny came in and dealt him a bad hand, as it were, so-called. And he became imprisoned and went through a huge amount of challenge, ending up being a very different person and doing amazing stuff in the world. And I was reflecting, you know, how in a way that misfortune brought him the tremendous gift of being able to discover himself so much more and be a force in the world in a way that he would never have been otherwise. So we all have that in a way, within ourselves, in our own lives. So look at that. So, find that, use that as inspiration for where you want to live, what you want to do, maybe something new that you want to create, to have greater abundance. How can you use that? Because this is authentic and unique to you. So instead of copying everyone, or having stuff in your mind as to what you think you should or shouldn't do, or what's a good idea, or what would work or not, just follow your heart. Let your heart go into that place. So say, for example, if you had this very big trauma, probably one of the biggest traumas in your life, in this lifetime, would be to lose a child. What was that about? What did it teach you? How did it change you? And what did it equip you for that you can use now to express your gifts, but also to help others? Perhaps you can set up retreats where you can help people who are going through this tremendous loss themselves, because you know what it's like. It's not just something you read in a book. So look at what has been challenging for you in your life and start using it. For me, it's like we're using all these puzzles, little pieces of puzzle that we're now putting together, and suddenly it's like you go, wow, look at that picture. This is actually what this is all about. And I never realized that. So there's that kind of clarity that's coming in. Start to tap into that. Start to prepare for that. And with that, we're starting to get ready to step into the new, to fill up what is being emptied and cleared out at the moment, so that we can be filled up with the new. We can start to create from a very different space, a different frequency of energy, of inspiration, which is what Aries is all about. So I trust that you will find some kind of, how shall I say, not solace, but inspiration from any of these tools that I spoke about, or just to acknowledge, often we just need to acknowledge that we're not alone, that we're not the only ones going through stuff. It's a universal condition. Oh my word, we all are. And what if that's not a bad thing? But let's share, and let's not feel alone and isolated and helpless and powerless in all of it. Let's connect our hearts and let's be together and let's celebrate and let's remember our amazing connection to the earth. She loves you. She wants you to have the best life ever. So come on, let's create it. So with lots of love, Elizabeth.